It was teased in the last video, and now it is happening. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at the Shattered Glass 2-pack of Shattered Glass Sideswipe, Shattered Glass Hot Rod, and I guess technically it's a 3-pack because it also includes Minicon Whisper. And yeah, I've actually had this set for a decent amount. I mean, since it came out, like, you know, obviously it hasn't been out that long, but yeah, I've been meaning to talk about it, so I'm using that opportunity now. But before I do, I just want to take a moment to thank the channel's newest patron, Tim. So thank you very much for joining the Patreon, Tim. I very much appreciate it. For anyone else who might be curious, as mentioned, I do have a Patreon. It is just a single tier is all I've got available, but that single tier gets you early access to new videos so you can watch stuff a couple of days before everyone else. It is a $1 tier, so $1 a month, that's what you get. Or if you'd like to support the channel in ways that don't involve a subscription, I do have a Ko-fi. So the link for either one will be down in the description. And now I have a cat in my lap. Hi, Astrid. You want to say hello to everybody? You want to say hello? I don't know if that's coming through, but she jawed the microphone. Anyway, yes, thank you again, Tim. And now let's talk about Shattered Glass, Sideswipe, and Hot Rod. And this is, it's 2 figures out of 3 that I have owned previously, so they're not new in the sense that the molds themselves aren't new, but the detailing, the colors, obviously, and in some cases the molding are drastically different. Plus, there's Whisper, and Whisper is definitely his own thing. So, let us take a look at all of these. Now, as I'm sure many people already know and expect, Shattered Glass Sideswipe appears to be, as of this recording, I don't think it's been confirmed yet, I don't think. But as of this recording, it's not confirmed, but Shattered Glass Sideswipe is totally going to be what was it, Armada Wheeljack, I think, who was definitely Sideswipe, but was named Wheeljack. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of obvious because of the gouged out Autobot logo with the tiny Decepticon logo beneath it. Like, that gash is molded in. I feel like they wouldn't have done that tooling if they weren't going to reuse it for something. And also, Whisper, who is the same kind of Minicon that comes with Wheeljack, is very obviously based on the colors from the same set of molds as Sideswipe here. So it just seems like that's going to happen at some point. Could be wrong, but I feel like everybody's sort of making that assumption because it seems very obvious. Now, what I want to do is take some of these accessories off of these figures, but I have a cat in my lap who is making it difficult to reach around the camera. Yes, hi, honey. Yes, I love you too. Can I please, can I do my thing? You gonna let me do my thing? Let me do my thing, please. I think she's gonna jump in front of the camera. Oh. And yeah, there she goes. Okay. Astrid, please be careful. And get your face away from my water. So how do you like the texture of cat fur, folks? Astrid, if you're gonna settle somewhere, can you at least settle, like, off to the side? Come on. Come on. Return to lap. Thank you. Okay. Little dork. Okay. So, Hot Rod it's Studio Series Hot Rod. And he has all the same accessories. I did not bring out the Matrix or the Matrix Shiny effect because I just didn't want to dig through my closet for the stored accessories. So instead I've just got the guns with the buzzsaw, which are pegged into the top here. And they just form this little clump. because there are these tabs on either side of both guns, and there are slots on the buzzsaw that line up perfectly so that you can tab the two guns into the buzzsaw, and then the spacing on the top of the car roof here is just so that you can peg the guns in there. You can also peg the guns into the engine, but with the buzzsaw, they're a little bit too close together. So you don't really want to, like the guns, I should say the tabs on the guns are just a little too close together to line up entirely right. It kind of flexes things a little bit. You can still peg it in, but I don't know. Anyway, we're going to put the accessory clump off to the side and look at that later. So that is Hot Rod stuff. Whisper is kind of the accessory. And then for Sideswipe, Sideswipe comes with a total of 4 accessories, not counting Whisper, but we're only going to remove 2 of them because the other 2 store so well in vehicle mode. So here's the Sideswipe shoulder launcher thing, and again, we'll take a look at that more in robot mode. And the other accessories are these bits here that pull off the sides and become like batons or something like that, but you can just peg them into the side there, and they sort of become almost like I don't know, like a body kit kind of addition to the car, which I think is cool. It does kind of suck just how different, though, the colors are here, which we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, there we've got the kind of naked vehicles all together. So with all of that out of the way, let's start talking about vehicle modes proper. And since I just started talking about Sideswipe's vehicle mode, we'll start with Sideswipe. So he is the kind of Earthrise-ish Lamborghini, I think, is what this is supposed to be. I think. I do like that they went with the Earthrise version, which is a little bit more Earth mode-y and not Cybertronian. Not that I have a problem with the Cybertronian ones. I think it's a cool car in its own right either way, but I prefer the Earth mode one. I like the separation of the side windows. I think it's cool. And Astrid's coming back into frame. Okay. You gonna be a backdrop, honey? You gonna be the backdrop? Stay away from the tiny accessories. Thank you. Okay, she's gonna be a backdrop. So, the vehicle looks good. I like all of the paint that went into this and the color separation and whatnot. It just kind of stinks, which, as I kind of got into before, that the painted turquoise does not match the turquoise plastic. You can see a pretty big difference between tones here, and that's just a little bit disappointing. It's not terrible under like average lighting, but when it's under lighting like this, it is really obvious. So yeah, that kind of sucks. But I do have to say I appreciate the like the gray matching is pretty darn close. And I also appreciate how all of this works out, where you've got like, you know, the kind of gray and turquoise combination, and it goes all throughout the car mode. So up front, you've got all of that going on, and then back here it continues, and then they got all of this detail that kind of spiders out into the around the, like, vents, I guess these are, and stuff. It's cool. And around the back, you've got the bright yellow bits that maybe are taillights, I don't know. The back itself is not painted, though, which is fine. And then you got silver on the rims, and along here they also did a little bit extra with like painting this so that it kind of makes that detail continue along the side of the car. The only thing that sucks is there's this detail here that does not match up with that. I feel like if they had painted this along with this, then that would help to kind of bring it all together a little bit better, but it's fine. They still went, I think, not necessarily above and beyond, but I feel like this has more paint budget on display than like the regular figure. And again, you've got that really nice gouged, like molded gouge detail in there over the molded and painted Autobot logo. You can see some nice molded detail inside that gash, and like that's painted silver. It's really cool. This will probably look really cool as Wheeljack, but I'm content with this. I don't really need Armada Wheeljack. Hopefully the microphone is still working. Let me check something real quick. Yep, okay. It made a weird sound at me. I don't know why it did that. Anyway, yeah, molding is great. I love this, and it's just a cool figure. I mean, the Sideswipe, the Siege/Earthrise Sideswipe figure is a really good mold. I've owned it a couple of times. I had, like, I think Siege Sideswipe, and I had Gigawatt. Don't have either of them anymore, but I have this, and I wanted to get the mold back, and I thought this was a great excuse because I really wanted this guy. And I'm surprised by just how much I really like this. The only thing that really disappoints me about this, other than the not really accurate matching between the turquoises, is the translucent windows. Particularly because this is just straight up clear plastic. Like, it's maybe a little smoky, maybe, but it's just see-through. There's nothing to it. I don't like how see-through it is, so you just see all the junk in there. And I also don't like that, despite that, it doesn't really set itself apart from what's going on around it. So, like, it kind of bleeds into the gray, and it's ugly. If these were either a different color, or maybe if they were, like, darker or brighter or something, maybe not translucent, then this would have been even better, I think, for the vehicle mode. Fingers crossed we get a Toy Hacks Reaper Labels set that does do windows. We'll see. But yeah, that is kind of a disappointment on this. But it's still a pretty darn cool vehicle mode. And I'll put him off to the side and take a look at Hot Rod, who is the entire reason, I will not make any apologies for this, the entire reason I bought this box set. Because I'm one of, I guess, only a couple of people who actually like Studio Series 86 Hot Rod. I don't know, I think it's a cool figure. I can kind of understand some of the complaints that people have, but I don't have those particular complaints. So, yeah. I think it's a really nice kind of wedge of vehicle. The windscreen section's maybe a little small, but it's fine. In these colors, it looks amazing. I love the black because it makes everything else pop so much, like silver and the grayish metallic-y colors, the dark gray, the red headlights, and of course the Tampograph purple flame detail on the front there. And you can kind of see his face peeking out too. This is cool. They did paint the rims as well for this one. I don't believe the rims for Studio Series were painted. Nothing on the back, but yeah. And you've got the robot mode detail on the underside, because of course you do, because it's Hot Rod. But this is cool. The transformation's interesting. It's a cool looking vehicle. It looks great in these colors. The red, even though the red is a little dark, and it does kind of fade into the black a little bit, it is bright enough and deep enough that it does stand out. That said, I might cover it up with, stickers if we get a Reaper label set for this guy, which I feel like we probably will, but we'll see. But yeah, it's a good-looking vehicle, and I feel like I want to say it's just like I said for Studio Series Hot Rod, but I never made a video on that guy. So yeah, it's recognizable as Hot Rod's alt mode. I think it's probably a little bit different, but I don't really care. You can see some of the venting details just on the other side of the wing here. There's also some nice molded details going around, which I said this about Studio Series Ultra Magnus too, where it's like he's kind of riding the line between smooth surfaces to look more like the cartoon and textured surfaces to look more in line with like Generations, like Legacy, Siege, Earthrise, all that stuff. And I appreciate that. It's a cool figure. I don't know. And he rolls okay. Hooray for that. Now, for the one new thing in the set, aside from Sideswipe's batons, Whisper. Whisper is actually really cool. It's the first official mini-con we've gotten in a while, I think. And I'm honestly, based on just Whisper alone, I'm really excited and hoping that we see more mini-cons in the future. I know we've got Jolt with the, what was it, Superlink Hotshot that just came out a little while ago. The box set started, I think it was like last week as of this recording that the box set went up for order. Haven't bought that because I don't want the Hotshot, but I would love to get that Jolt separately. So fingers crossed they do more mini cons, either in more 2-packs with other figures, or 3-packs, or just release mini cons separately. I don't know. But he is a silly little mini con stealth fighter, I think. It looks neat. I like the yellow line that goes around here. I feel like it would have been nice if these shoulders were also yellow to continue that line detailed around, but I understand why they didn't paint these, and because of the molding they probably couldn't just cast it in yellow, because there is no yellow plastic on Sideswipe, so oh well. But it looks cool, and considering it's a mini-con, it's relatively clean. And he can do the attach to another character thing, but what's interesting is these mini-cons do it backwards. Like, first of all, you can see there's no visible mini-con peg or port on this guy like this. What you have to do is take the legs, the obvious legs, and flip them up, and this section here will peg on top of the wing like that. And when you unpeg this, it doesn't really peg in, but like this sits in here. So bring that around and peg that into the top. And now that gives you another option for the Stealth Fighter mode, which I think this looks cool. I kind of like having these on top like big boosters. But what that does is it flattens out the bottom and reveals the Mini-Con peg. And that's what's kind of weird about this. It's a Mini-Con peg, not port. So the pegs are now on the mini-cons themselves. And I don't really get that. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. Specifically, I don't get why they did the very recognizable kind of cylindrical hollow in the center peg for the mini-con pegs when, like, it's just a 5mm peg. It doesn't really it doesn't really need to have that distinction. It could just be a regular old peg. Like if I bring in Burnout here, he pegs into the 5mm port on top of the weapon. So it's kind of, I just don't know why they made that distinction. But regardless, now that he's got the peg revealed, you can peg him into the top of Sideswipe, and you do that if you want. And it's pointless and silly, but I enjoy it. I think it's cool that you have that option. So you can kind of do that if you want to combine him with Sideswipe or any other figures, or you can fold the legs back around like this if you want him to be like a standalone thing. And that is cool. Now let's bring everyone back in so that we can do size comparisons. And we'll just bonk Whisper on the top of Sideswipe there for now. And let's start bringing everyone in here. So we've got Heartfire. Oh, let's adjust this a little bit more. Okay. Bring these out just a little bit for a little bit more room. And there is Rotor Storm and Bova Prime and Samus. We'll just leave it with these, this handful for now. We'll bring in Burnout in a second. But there you can see how they compare to the, to the big Voyager, the tall Deluxe, and other stuff. All right, get you all out of the way here and bring in Burnout. So there are them two with Burnout, and I mean, it's more or less the same deal. You've got a Deluxe, and a Voyager that is the size of a Deluxe because of the complexity and accessories and whatnot. So they're roughly the same size. Burnout looks a little bigger, but that's because her car mode is a little bit narrower and taller. So yeah, that is how that breaks down. And just in case anyone was curious, let's do a couple of extra comparisons with Whisper. So here is Whisper with a core class figure. So you can see how big the minicons are compared to a core class. Obviously, they're going to be smaller and simpler, but just in case anyone was curious. And one more, bring in some other comparable minicons. We've got the, what is it, Siege, I think, that the Airstrike Patrol came from. It's either Siege or Earthrise, one of those two. So here we've got Stormcloud and Whisper, so that is how they compare. Whisper is a little bit smaller, but again, a little bit simpler, and this is kind of like a pack-in accessory, you know, so I think considering that, it makes sense. Also, I mostly picked these guys just so we could do Whisper with Whisper. I just think that's kind of funny. So there's how all that stacks up. And now, of course, the most important size comparison of them all. Here they are with the duck tank. Okay, transformation time. But before we get into that, I do want to remind everybody that if you like this video or any of the other videos that I've done on the channel and would like to support me or the channel in general, I have a couple of different options if you want to pay money. There's Patreon, which I have a single $1 tier, and that $1 a month gets you early access to new videos. Or if you don't want to do the subscription thing, I do have a Ko-fi. In either case, links in the description. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel, you can always comment, share, subscribe, etc. So with all that out of the way, it is time to transform, and we are going to start with Whisper because I feel like this is the thing that most people are going to be curious about because this is the new thing from the set. So to transform Whisper is very simple because it's a minicon. You just want to straighten out the legs and fold back what will become the heels. So straighten that out and fold that back. Now you can fold back these wings, and these will just kind of, fold back, and this tab will kind of bump into that to give them a nice little angle. You can adjust them more later, but for now I like to do that. Now the arms, which do tab in, there's a little bit here that kind of tabs into here. You can bring those forward like so, and now this whole section flips forward, and then this piece flips down, and the minicon peg will go into that section there. And that's it. There is Whisper in robot mode, and you can at this point adjust the wings how you want, but we'll deal with that more when we get to the actual looking at everything. So yeah, there is Whisper. Very simple transformation, but again, he is a minicon. Now let's do Sideswipe because Sideswipe's going to be the least complex of the two. Going to remove little baton weapons. Those can go off to the side for now. And this is just the Siege/Earthrise Sideswipe mold, so want to flip these little bits on the sides. That will allow you to fold out and up the arms. Get those out of the way. You can also straighten the arms out and flip out the fists while we're at it. So do all that. Now these panels can fold back in, and they just sit where the arms used to be. We'll do the legs next. So I want to pop open these panels, and I like how there's this little cut here that goes around the wheel. I mean, it has to, but I still think that's neat. And with that done, you can now separate this out and rotate the legs back around. And now what you want to do is, if you straighten the legs out, these bits here will push in. And when those push in, they push down the feet, making them easier to get to. So pull those in, and that will bend down the feet. Then pull the feet down into position, and then close these little doors again, and straighten out the legs and split them. Also, I like to come back here and just push these little bits down as far as they'll go to complete that whole thing. Rotate the waist 180 degrees, and we are almost there. This little panel flips all the way up, like so. And now, there you can see the head. So this flips all the way up, and now this disconnects and rotates down, and then this, something in this, hard to see. There's a tab here that tabs in here. So you bring that down and push that in to tab the torso together, and that it doesn't sit as well as I'd like, but it does. It's like it holds together, but yeah. I feel like maybe that's due to mold degradation. I don't know. But there you go. And you can just bring the arms down, and that's it. I do kind of think Gigawatt does it better with a little bit extra with the engineering for the transformation, but it's still a cool mold. It gets the job done. It's fun to transform. It accomplishes a lot with not a whole lot of steps, and I like it. Put them off to the side, and now we do the big one, the complex one. So again, Studio Series 86 Hot Rod. If you're familiar with that, you're familiar with this. First thing to do is unpeg the hood from the front here. So unpeg that. And with that unpegged, now these panels will flip in. You want to pull those out, flip them in, and they actually tab in here. There's like this little tab here that tabs in there. And same thing on this side. Pull that out, rotate it in. Now we want to leave this out for now. With that done, you can kind of pull the arms down because they do tab in just underneath the window. You can kind of see that little tab right there that tabs into the forearm. So you want to pull those down and then carefully disconnect the pipes here. You kind of want to pull this up and push this in a little bit because you can see there's like a little catch right there. Come on, focus. It's a little catch right there. And I don't think it's a huge risk, but it is a risk for a breakage, so you want to be careful with that. And then rotate the arms down. Now, going to disconnect the legs so they tab in kind of up around here, and they tab in up around here and kind of up around here beneath the fin. So you kind of want to be careful as you pull out and pull out. Pull out. There we go. And now this whole thing can swing up. No, it doesn't want to swing up. Probably doesn't. Oh, it doesn't want to swing up because of this, I don't think. Oh, there we go. Okay. And then rotate this around 180 degrees. And here you can see the two right there and right there are the two spots, and then right there and right there are the two spots where the legs tab in. Now we'll finish the legs. So want to spread them apart a little bit, and then untab this whole section from here. Kind of tabs over here. It kind of settles in here somewhere. So that kind of clicks in. You want to unpeg it, open this up, and then swing down the leg at that hinge. Pop this section with the wheel on it and flip that all the way around so it sits in here now, and then rotate this in, and this will tab into the side. Oh, wait, no. I always forget to do this. Before you flip that in, you want to flip down the foot. Then you flip this in, rotate this in, and this will tab together right there. So there you have one leg, and it's exactly the same for the other leg. You want to untap that, open that up, swing this down, flip out the foot, then disconnect that so you can swing the wheel in, and swing this in, and tap that in, and there we go. And we'll give this a 180 rotation at the waist too while we're at it. So there is the lower body of Shattered Glass Hot Rod all done. Now, let's readjust this a little bit. Now, this pulls out, and these bits tab behind the collar here. You can see there's like a couple little, you can kind of see there are some slots right there. So they do tab in, but they'll likely come untabbed as you're transforming it. So you just unplug that, swing this whole thing down. Now you want to swing the arms up, rotate this whole assembly up, and now this entire thing rotates around 180 degrees. And with that rotated, now the hood can fold back down, because you didn't want to have it otherwise, like, because then it would block the rotation. So you want to fold that in. And then before we do all that, you want to fold out the head. That will settle like that. Now we can fold this in, and then fold this in, and these tabs will tab in to the collar section like they were in vehicle mode. So there is that. And bring this assembly up, and this will peg in here, and this will go over this little tab on the back here, like so. And lastly, fold out this panel, rotate the smokestacks pipes around, and then this panel will now fold back around and sit in there. And that is Studio Series 86 Hot Rod, and by extension, Shattered Glass Hot Rod. Why are you suddenly not standing? I don't understand. There we go. Let's try to angle the feet forward a little bit. So, there are our boys. We've got Hot Rod, and Sideswipe, and Whisper, and they look pretty cool together. I do wish that Whisper was a different color scheme than Sideswipe. I understand why he's not. I just think it would have been cool, because it's kind of like, you know, Hot Rod kind of stands out a bit with everyone else wearing matching outfits. But they are cool. And here you can see, too, that it's... like, okay. Hot Rod is tall for compared to Sideswipe. And let's actually bring in... yeah, okay, so Hot Rod is... am I misremembering, and Hot Rod is like Voyager size but leader price point? I don't remember. I thought he was a Voyager price point, but I could be wrong. Point is, Hot Rod is that tall, Sideswipe is that tall, and they look cool. I don't necessarily think they gel together because they've got different aesthetics, because they're from different lines, different eras, so to speak, but they do look good together in the sense that they're both, you know, evil mirror universe versions of their counterparts. And on their own, they look fantastic. So let's go back to how we started. So we're going to take a look at Hot Rod first, even though this was the guy that I was most excited to get the set for, and he's still fantastic. I love having him. But honestly, I think everybody in the set is kind of overshadowed by Whisper. I really, really like Whisper. But this is great. I mean, it's the Studio Series figure, just with a different color scheme, color layout, and different molding on the head, which we'll look at in a minute. But it's very cool. I like the black and kind of dark metallic gray that they've got going on in a lot of places, with like the purple accents and just a little bit of red for the headlights, which, yes, those are... this whole chest is like a faux part, but I think it works. And also, it, you know, the way the chest reshapes itself from the car hood, I don't think there's a better way they could have done it, because if they had the car hood reshape, it would completely mess up the design on the front, and probably, like, you know, the headlights be too big, that kind of thing. And it looks really good. There's a really nice color breakup along here. I love that you've got a little bit of that purple in the shins, so instead of being just like entirely black boots with gray legs, it's, you know, a little bit of detail here, a little bit of detail here, and so on all the way up. Every part of the body has some kind of extra detail on it, except like, you know, the thighs and the fists. But the thighs, I feel like they work as like a kind of visual bridge between these two pieces. So the color difference, it's cool is what I'm saying. They didn't need any extra detail. And it's a very clean figure overall. Yeah, you've got a little bit of a backpack here, but like I don't know what they could have done to make that any cleaner. I love that the wheels tuck into the backs of the calves, but you've still got the shoulder wheels, you know, maintaining that look. Got the pipes. I don't know what else to say. It's a really solid figure. I think it's really cool. I like it a lot. And yeah, he looks great. The head, as mentioned, is different from Studio Series 86 Hot Rod. They actually molded in and painted a mustache and little chin beard. So he has the you know, evil mirror universe beard, and that is fantastic. Like Power of the Primes, for Rodimus Unicronus, they had like a sticker you could put the mustache on with, which is fun. Even though in the show he actually had a mouth plate. I don't know why, but I love that they did they actually molded the mustache and beard for this particular version. It is great. Additionally, he does have the eyeglasses thing, or visor thing. If you can flip up the head, and it's just like the Masterpiece, but on a smaller scale. So you can flip up the head, and then flip out the little visor, and push that back down, and there is that. And that, I think, is how, I mean, that is how I have him displayed. I think this looks amazing. But just in case anyone is wondering, you know, he does have the eyes, so. And it looks good, the red eyes on the silver. I just really, really like the look of the visor, so that's how I have him. And yeah, I love the head. It's Hot Rod, but with a mustache. The coloring is great, like the black helmet and the purple accents, fantastic. The red for the visor. I think one of the things I like most about it is it gives you a bigger shock of red than just the eyes. And it's great. It's good stuff. Now for the articulation, as you saw, the head is on a ball joint, but it's very, very tight on mine. So you get some waggle, you get some left and right. The chin will knock into this collar piece, so you kind of have to tilt the head up a bit if you want to turn it beyond just like that, which is fine. And then you do get some up and down as well. The shoulders, or rather, well, yeah, shoulders, they can go all the way around, except the wing in the back does get in the way, so you're not going to be able to go the full distance just because of geometry. Also, the rotation on the shoulders is a little bit tight for some reason. I might need to go in there and loosen that up. Then you get outward motion that is above, or rather below the rotation. I'm not a huge fan of that, but it is what it is. It just sucks because, like, you know, if you bring the arm forward and you'd want to tilt it up, it goes up like that. So if you want to have him aiming kind of off to the side, you kind of have to do this. And I mean, you can still work around it, but it's not my favorite way of handling a shoulder joint. As you saw, you get a bicep rotation just above the elbow, and then you do get an elbow that bends a little bit past 90, which is very good. You do get wrist rotation, and the fingers move. All four are pinned together, but you do get opening hands, so that's cool. As you saw in the transformation, there is a waist rotation. The hips can go a little bit past 90 forward, cannot go back all the way due to the molding and this whole thing. Like, it's basically the rotation is towards the front, which is what allows it to kick up like that. So you can see it's not centered around that joint. So when it swings back, the back kind of comes up, but they did at least carve this section out so that it can go back a bit more than it would if this was like one piece going all the way back. So they did consider it at least. Then you can go out almost to 90. You get a thigh rotation just above the hip. Rather stiff on this. I remember it being stiff on the Studio Series as well. You've got a double jointed knee, so you can bend the top joint like that. You can bend the bottom joint like that, and then you can use the bottom with the top, go like that. I feel like it doesn't really make a difference if you use both joints together or just the top one, but it's an option. And then the feet can move up and down a bit, and you do get some ankle tilts. Could be better, but it's not bad. So his articulation is pretty solid. And then along with that, you've got all the gimmicks. So like you can pop open his, there we go. You can pop open his little forearm and swing the fist in and give him his little cup repair thing, little welder. I'm not really into that, but it's a thing you can do. What I prefer to do is give him one of his guns. So you can see his guns are pretty much like hot rod guns. They're the same asymmetrical style guns, one with little circular bits and whatnot. So give him one gun, and then the other gun I tend to store on the back. So just tap that in on whatever hand isn't holding the gun, because this hand also does the rotational thing, but instead of the little repair thingy, it just has a peg. And it has that peg so you can take the buzzsaw / pizza cutter and peg that over the hand and give him a buzzsaw hand. It does spin, kind of. Not great, but it spins. And I don't know, I just like that. I think it's neat. So this is how I typically have my Shattered Glass Hot Rod displayed, with one buzzsaw hand, one hand holding one of his guns, and the other gun pegged along the back. And if you really wanted to, you could actually peg the gun into the, let's see, would it go this way better? Yeah, because the pipe's getting in the way. You could peg the gun into the buzzsaw, so he's actually wielding guns with the buzzsaw hand. The thing you could do. Yeah, that's how I like to have my Shattered Glass Hot Rod displayed, so there is that. Now, Sideswipe. Sideswipe looks really good also. Dig the colors. Again, I just wish that this turquoise better matched the turquoise plastic, but whatever. In robot mode, it's not as apparent, but it's still kind of like this and this. Looks a little bit yellowish compared to this and this, but it is what it is. The breakup is nice. There's not as much in terms of paint detailing as with Hot Rod, because now you get the knees, the pelvis section, and then the chest, but that was the same in car mode. So like the arms, the shoulders, the fists, the legs, the shins, like all that stuff aside from the yellow here, it's not painted. Though weirdly, the feet are painted. I don't understand this, but if you look, you can actually see that the feet are molded in turquoise plastic and they have been painted gray. So that is what some of the paint budget went to. Again, it doesn't bother me. I think the breakup is perfectly fine, and I think the color scheme is really cool. I like the light gray plus dark gray plus turquoise, and also some yellow and a little bit of purple. But I think repro labels might be cool, but I don't think he necessarily needs them. Just like Hot Rod. Hot Rod looks great, and I don't offhand think he needs repro labels, but if they make a set for it, I'm definitely going to be curious enough to look at it. So we'll see. But yeah, he looks cool. It's pretty much the Earthrise / Siege Sideswipe mold. My knee is a little bit loose, but I can fix that later. Just with the remolded chest and remolded head, and he looks good. He cleans up nice. There's it's obvious that he's made of car, but there's really no kibble to speak of, really. it's all just his legs and his back. And yeah, they've got this stuff sticking out a bit, which is a little unsightly. It would be nice if that could tuck away a little better, but it doesn't, and it's fine. It's a simple transformation that accomplishes a lot. I'm okay with that. Now for the head. It is, that is, as I understand it, very much Armada Wheeljack. It's not a typical Sideswipe head. It's almost got like a bonbon shape to it, but with like these little horns on top. I don't know how much of this molding is Wheeljack, because I'm not familiar with Wheeljack that much, but it's interesting. It is very interesting how the face is sculpted too, how you've got like the mouth and nose kind of in that gray and molded, but then the cheeks are like covered with the armor plating that's in light gray. It's an interesting combination of visual tricks, I guess. But it's cool, and I like the way that the color's distributed on the face, with like the darker gray in the vents on the face and the head crest, but then you've still got some lighter gray around like the little chin strap and the cheeks and the rest of the helmet. The little horns done in black look nice. And actually have been painted all the way around, including where the seam is, because you can see the seam actually goes through the horns, so that's cool. And you've got those nice bright red eyes that stand out with the different plastics around it, so it's very nice. It's a good looking head. It's not, like, it doesn't scream Sideswipe to me, but like this isn't Sideswipe, this is Shattered Glass Sideswipe, so that's fine. Now for the articulation, as you saw, the head is on a ball joint, but it's the ball joint is actually, like the joint is inside the torso, so the ball and stalk is actually coming off of the head. So the joint is down here, not up in the head, but that actually works to its benefit because you get a pretty decent amount of up and down and side to side, so you can get pretty expressive. And of course you get the rotation, so pretty expressive head. The arms can go all the way around. They can go out to 90. You've got bicep swivels. You've got a 90-degree elbow. Due to the way it's carved, it creates this weird little divot here, but it's fine. It's not that bad. You do not get any wrist swivel, which kind of stinks, but it's a, you know, this guy is a lot simpler than this guy. This guy did not have the budget of this guy, so yeah. That's fine. You can rotate the fist in if you want, but You do get a waist rotation, which happens right down there, so you can go all the way around if you want. The legs can go forward and back to pretty much 90 if you get the junk out of the way here, so it doesn't knock into this, then it can go back 90, no problem. You can go out to, again, if this stuff doesn't bang into the backpack, it can go out a little past 90, but depending on how you've got the leg angled, it might knock into this. You've got, despite the junk back here, I do think this is great how this folds away. I always like that about this mold, but you can bend the knee to surprisingly not 90 degrees. What's happening is this panel, at least I don't know if this is any different with the other side swipes, but the way that this, you can see the way that this comes in, the knee hits it and it can't move past that point, like right up here. So as you bend this down, you just can't go past a certain point. And the other problem with that is, like, it can't go past it because this piece will push against the shin panel. So if the shin panel's out, you can get a little bit more, but this is just, like, that's as far as the knee bends. So it can't quite get to 90, which is a disappointment, but it's not a huge deal. The feet, due to this joint's construction, you can't really bend the toe down, but you can get a really nice tilt. So yeah, pretty darn posable. And then for the weapon accessories, you've got this thing, which is the standard Sideswipe thing. I don't know if this is really a thing that Shattered Glass Sideswipe uses, but it's something that he comes with. And it's, you know, Sideswipe's thing. Though it is weird, it plugs in strange. Now you've got this really small peg for some reason. I don't remember this being on the regular, this mold's regular weapon. And the problem with that is the connection for the tube here. You can see it's very small. like the wider base is what's plugging into this launcher thing. So when that plugs in, it's just being held in by like this tiny bit of plastic. So if you knock this in either direction, it will just pop, like it leverages itself out extremely easily, which can be kind of annoying when you're trying to plug it into stuff, but that's how they designed it. But anyway, you've got a peg on one side and a tab on the other. The peg, you can peg it into the different ports in the hand, whatever, or you can use the tab to do what everyone, including myself, prefers to do and give him the shoulder-mounted thing, which, yeah, I very much prefer that. I just wish that this thing wasn't so easy to knock out of place. That really is annoying. And then the batons that were in the vehicle mode, these can now be put in his hands. And you can see there's like some extra molding on the side there, but they are cast in gray plastic. And you can hold them like that. Because of the way they plug in, because of the length of the pegs, you can't have him hold both in one hand, but that's fine. So there he is, ready to, I guess, beat down on some goody two-shoes Decepticons. I don't know. And Whisper. Whisper looks fantastic. I love this. I love the little, like, squished up sort of hexagonal face that kind of goes in, and then you've got that really cool red for the eyes, visor, whatever. And I love that it comes down into like these little bits that almost look like teardrop, like not teardrops, but like that kind of shape. I love that shape around a visor. I think that looks really cool. And the lighter gray with the red just works really nicely. I like that detail kind of goes back more into the darker gray. The triangular torso looks really cool, and you've got all this nice extra color because of the jet mode, the yellow and the red. The arms are very simple, but there is some paint on them, specifically like the turquoise for the hands, and they look neat. I like the three-fingered thing. That's kind of cool. And you got the legs, which are simple, but they get the job done, and they are pretty stable for what they are. Though it is kind of weird that the joint, like basically the way they're jointed, the shin sits ever so slightly in front of the hip. It doesn't affect stability because he's got these really big heels and he's not a big figure. He's not heavy or anything. But it's a little weird because if you want him to stand straight-legged, you really can't have him do that because it just doesn't look quite right. As things will either be shifted like that or kind of semi-chicken-legged, and it just, it's just a weird choice. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but it's a weird choice. And the wings on the back are adjustable. You can swing them up all the way if you want to do that. You can swing them down if you just want to have them align with the shoulders, or you can swing them down pretty much all the way or any degree within that range if you want to hide the wings. So you can have Whisper just looking like a dude rather than a dude that comes from a plane. But I prefer to have them up at an angle. I just think it looks more dynamic. And what's also weird is these aren't fixed. They're just pegged in there. They just pop right out. So you can take the wings off if you want. I wouldn't want to, but you can. Now for the articulation, you've got ball joints at the shoulders and hips, so you can rotate the arms around, and you can adjust the wings, get them out of the way. They can go out to 90. You can kind of approximate a bicep swivel a little bit, and that's it. You get a 90-degree bend at the elbow in either direction. You get nothing at the waist, also nothing at the head. The head is fixed, which, given all of that, I think that makes sense. Nothing at the waist. You've got the ball-jointed hips, so you can go out to 90. They can go way back and way forward. And then you've got the knees that can bend under 90 degrees forward or well past 90 backwards. And then if you really want to, you can mess with the heals to, I guess, affect stability. So Whisper's also, for a mini-con, pretty decently articulated. And also you can use the ball-jointed hip as like an approximation of a thigh swivel. So yeah, for his size, Whisper's articulation is actually pretty good. I'd say it actually rivals, some other mini-cons. Like, it is... Whisper's articulation is almost identical to Visper, the only difference being Visper doesn't have the adjustable heels. But, like, they've both got the ball-jointed hips and shoulders, the, hinged knees and elbows, no head articulation. At least I don't think Visper has head articulation. Point is, it's comparable, but I think he is overall a cooler robot and vehicle mode, and he is fun to mess with. But since he is a mini-con, he can do the mini-con thing, so we're just gonna transform him back into his vehicle mode and keep the legs above the vehicle this time around, because we want that peg to be accessible. And we'll bring that in, peg that in, bring that up, peg that in. There we go. So, with that visible peg, you can now peg him into Sideswipe if you want. So you could give him like a shoulder shield, give him like a buckler. You could have him peg onto his back like a jetpack if you want. I don't know. But it's stuff you can do, and I think it's fun. I kind of, because of the way I have my shelves organized, I prefer to have Whisper on his on Sideswipe's shoulder as like a kind of shoulder shield. But that's just one of multiple options for display. So yeah, that is how I have him set up. And forgot to mention with Hot Rod, you actually get a butterfly joint here that is severely hampered by the arms, so you kind of have to bring it up to do that, and it's just weird, but it's a joint that's there. So yeah, this is a cool set. I really, really like this set. But as I said, Whisper, for me at least, is the winner of the whole thing, because he's just neat. He's fun, he's simple, yes, absolutely. But he is a lot of fun to transform back and forth and mess around with, and it's kind of... I like the idea of potentially getting more mini-cons in the future and being able to kind of play around with hooking them up with other figures for like kind of impromptu tiny robot accessories, I just think that'd be really cool. So, with all that out of the way, let us do our size comparisons and wrap this up, because this recording is over an hour long already, because I keep doing this to myself. But there we go. Here is the main folks, so you can see that Hot Rod is roughly the same height, maybe a little bit shorter than Rotor Storm, and Rotor Storm is a tall deluxe, so yeah, I'm pretty sure Voyager price point, but deluxe height. Tall deluxe, but deluxe height for Hot Rod there. So that is how they measure up with all of them. And then, because we did her separately before, we're going to do that again. Here they are with Burnout. And yeah, Burnout is pretty much the same height as Sideswipe, but is roughly like a head taller than, or a head shorter rather, than Hot Rod. And because we did this for Whisper before, let's get these two out of the way temporarily and just do the Whisper size comparisons, because he is a special little boy and he deserves to have his own little size comparison section. So here is Whisper with a modern core class figure. And again, he's a mini-con, so stands to reason. Here he is with Stormcloud. So even though the Siege and Earthrise Micromasters, or I guess these were Micromasters, not mini-cons. So yeah, he's a little bit bigger than Stormcloud. And Stormcloud, I think, is like I don't know, maybe a little bit. I can't decide if Stormcloud's more complex or simpler. It's hard to say. He does not have the same level of articulation, but he also combines with Whisper to become a sword. So, I don't know. Hard to say. He's technically got more moving parts, but whatever. And then there is Whisper with Whisper. And Whisper and Whisper are about the same height. So there is that. And Whisper, again, pretty much on par in terms of articulation. Though Whisper's articulation, I think, is more important for the transformation. So his articulation is more out of necessity. Whisper's articulation is more out of, like, let's make an awesome mini-con, I think. But that is also speculative. I don't know what Hasbro was thinking when they did all this. And now let's bring the family back together for one more size comparison. Here we have, I should say one more and the most important size comparison. There we have Shattered Glass, Hot Rod, Sideswipe, and Whisper with the Duck Tank. And that does it for the Shattered Glass 2-pack of Sideswipe and Hot Rod. And again, like, it's a cool set. I really think both of these figures, both of the, I guess, bigger figures are excellent on their own for what they are. But I'm still surprised by just how much I really like Whisper. My initial plan when I got this set was I'm going to get it for Hot Rod, and then I'm going to sell off Whisper and Sideswipe, and that'll be that. And then I got them in hand and was like, no, I really like Sideswipe, and I really like Whisper. So, surprise, surprise to me, I guess. But it is a cool set, and as of this recording at least, it is still very available on Hasbro Pulse. So, if you're interested in this, you can always pick it up there. Not sponsored. Wish I was. It'd be great to have Hasbro sponsorship money, but oh well. Yeah, that is going to do it for this Shattered Glass 2-pack. What do you all think of any of these guys? Though particularly Whisper, because he's the newest one of the group. Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you once again to Tim for joining the Patreon, and thank you all for watching. And I will see you next time. I think I know what the next video is going to be. We'll see how it goes.